Ever wondered who the richest people in history are? I'm not talking about the Elon Musks or Jeff Bezoses of today. I'm talking about the titans of wealth from centuries ago. Let's dive into the lives of the wealthiest people of all time and see how their fortunes compare to today's billionaires. Kicking off our list at number 10 is Cornelius Vanderbilt. Vanderbilt started with a small ferry business in New York at just 16 years old. And get this, by his mid-20s, he was already running steamboats and dominating the waters. But he didn't stop there. Vanderbilt saw the future in railroads. He built a massive empire, connecting cities across America and made trains the backbone of the U.S. economy. He was a true hustler, always a step ahead. By the time he passed away in 1877, he had amassed enough wealth to make him one of the richest men ever. The best part, he started with nothing, just pure grit and determination. Vanderbilt's story is a classic rags to riches tale that shows the power of ambition. So next time you hop on a train, remember, Cornelius Vanderbilt was one of the giants who made it all possible. Up next at number 9, did you know that Henry Ford was once one of the richest people in history? In today's money, his net worth would be around $200 billion. Ford didn't invent the car, but he revolutionized how they were made. Before him, cars were for the rich. He wanted to make cars affordable for everyone. So how did he do it? With the assembly line. Instead of one person building a car from start to finish, Ford's assembly line had each worker doing just one task. This made cars way faster and cheaper to produce. The result? The Model T, the car that changed everything. By making cars affordable, Ford transformed transportation forever. At one point, he was making so much money that he was earning over $2 million a day. So next time you see a car, think of Henry Ford, the man who took the world for a ride and became one of the richest people ever. Next up, at number 8, we have Muammar Gaddafi, the former Libyan dictator. Wasn't just known for his eccentric fashion and controversial reign, he was also one of the richest people in history, with an estimated net worth of a staggering $200 billion. His wealth came largely from Libya's oil reserves, which he tightly controlled for over 40 years. Gaddafi used his power to funnel massive amounts of money into his personal accounts. He stashed his fortune in secret bank accounts, properties, and investments around the world, making him richer than some of the most powerful businessmen ever. From luxury jets to grand palaces, Gaddafi lived a life of unimaginable wealth. But despite his riches, his downfall was swift and brutal, as he was overthrown and killed in 2011. His fortune, mostly unaccounted for, lost in the chaos. So there you have it, Gaddafi, a ruler whose wealth once rivaled entire nations. Next up at number 7, we have William the Conqueror, a man who, believe it or not, was one of the richest people in history with an estimated fortune of $209 billion in today's money. William the Conqueror wasn't just any ruler. He was the first Norman king of England after winning the famous Battle of Hastings in 1066. But his wealth didn't just come from his conquests. He took control of vast lands, collected heavy taxes, and built numerous castles across England, securing his power and his riches. His massive fortune came from owning almost all the land in England, which was then given to his loyal followers in exchange for military support and money. This made him the ultimate landlord, controlling the economy and resources of the country. Imagine owning almost an entire nation and raking in all the profits. That's William the Conqueror for you. Ruthless, strategic, and rolling in riches. No wonder he's considered one of history's wealthiest figures. Next up, at number 6, we have Jacko Fugger, also known as Jacob the Rich. This German banker, merchant, and mining mogul from the 16th century is considered one of the wealthiest individuals in history, with an estimated net worth of around $221 billion in today's money. So how did he get so rich? Fugger wasn't just any businessman. He basically invented modern banking. He funded kings, popes, and emperors, making money from everything from mining silver and copper to loaning massive sums to the Habsburgs to fund their empire. He even financed the election of a Holy Roman Emperor, and his secret to success? Diversification and having the right connections. Fugger's influence was so vast that he could sway political decisions across Europe. Imagine having that kind of power. Jacob Fugger's empire laid the groundwork for modern capitalism, making him not just rich, but a financial legend whose legacy is still felt today. Next up, at number 5, we have Zar Nicholas II of Russia, and his wealth was estimated at a staggering $300 billion in today's money. Tsar Nicholas II was the last emperor of Russia, ruling from 1894 until the Russian Revolution in 1917. His wealth wasn't just about cash. He owned palaces, vast lands, and had control over some of the largest resources in the world, including oil fields and gold mines. Imagine owning the Winter Palace, the Fabergé eggs, and enough bling to make today's billionaires look modest. The Tsar's fortune was tied to the sheer size and resources of the Russian Empire, which spanned 1/6 of the Earth's landmass. But it wasn't all glitz and glamour. His reign ended in tragedy during the Russian Revolution, where he lost not only his wealth but his throne, and ultimately his life. So while Nicholas II lived like a king, He serves as a reminder that even the richest can lose everything. Next up, at number 4, we have Andrew Carnegie, with a staggering net worth of $310 billion when adjusted for inflation. Born in 1835 in Scotland, Carnegie started from the bottom as a poor immigrant in the U.S. He worked his way up from a bobbin boy in a cotton factory to building an empire in the steel industry. Carnegie's secret? He revolutionized steel production with new technologies and aggressive business tactics, making steel cheaper and more efficient to produce. His steel was used to build America's railroads, bridges, and even the iconic skyscrapers that defined the skyline. But Carnegie didn't just keep his fortune. He gave away over 90% of his wealth to fund libraries, education, and world peace. Andrew Carnegie, more than just a steel tycoon, he was a true rags-to-riches story and one of the greatest philanthropists in history. Next up, at number 3, we have John D Rockefeller, the oil tycoon with a fortune that still boggles the mind today. If he were alive now, his wealth would be around $340 billion, making him one of the richest people in history. Rockefeller founded Standard Oil in the late 1800s, turning it into the largest and most powerful oil company in the world. His business tactics were ruthless. He bought out competitors, cut costs, and created a monopoly that controlled about 90% of the oil in the U.S. at its peak. But Rockefeller wasn't just about business. He was also a major philanthropist. He gave away over $500 million to education, medical research, and public health, shaping the future of many industries. From dominating the oil industry to revolutionizing charity, Rockefeller's legacy is a mix of unprecedented wealth and groundbreaking generosity. Next up, at number 2, we have Augustus Caesar, with a staggering net worth of $4.6 trillion. Born Gaius Octavius, Augustus Caesar wasn't just the first Roman emperor across. His empire spanned across Europe, North Africa, and parts of Asia. Imagine owning a piece of all that land and its resources. His wealth came from controlling vast amounts of land, taxes, and trade routes. With such power and resources, he could easily be considered the richest person in history. Augustus Caesar's fortune helped shape history and make him a legend. And at last, but not least, we have the incredible Monam Musa, the emperor of the Mali Empire in the 14th century, is one of the richest people ever. His wealth was estimated between $400 billion and $500 billion, possibly even higher. His empire was rich in gold, and his influence extended across Africa and beyond. He was so rich, his famous pilgrimage to Mecca in 1324 was like a walking gold parade. He gave away so much gold that he actually caused inflation in Egypt. His empire was packed with gold mines, and Musa used his fortune to build stunning mosques and support learning. His legacy? An empire that flourished in wealth and knowledge. So there you have it, the top 10 richest people in history. Their wealth and legacies shape the world in ways we still see today. If you enjoyed this video, hit the like button, subscribe, and let us know in the comments whose story surprised you the most. See you in the next video.